it's been happening all gosh darn day, and it's happening again now. Do you ever? Does it ever happen to you? Do you get this? Does this happen to you? Where sometimes you'll just become aware of your nose. Like, you can always see your nose, but you tune it out, don't you? You ignore it, like the crying baby that's staying in the Airbnb downstairs at the moment on its own. I don't know how it managed to book an Airbnb on its own, but I guess there's smart babies out there now. But then you ignore it throughout the day, or just in general, and it's not. But like today, I just can't stop fucking seeing it. I woke up and one of the first things I saw was just my fucking nose on my face. I was just fucking there, and all day I was out in town to some stores doing some shit, and the whole time I'm just so constantly aware of my visible nose. And my nose isn't like big or anything. It's actually fairly small for what it is. I'm average height and size for a man my age or whatever. But just my fucking nose, it's just there. I can just see it. It's the same thing as like when you think about breathing and suddenly you can't breathe, or you think about walking and suddenly you forget how to walk. If you're walking past people and you're like, okay, don't do anything weird, don't walk weird, and then suddenly you forget how to walk, and now you're walking weird, and you just told yourself not to walk weird, and now all you can do is walk fucking weird, you weirdo. And it's like that, but it's my nose, and I can't not see it. It's just fucking there now. It's when you get those little bits of like, I don't know, eye shit, those eye phantoms, just those floaty bits in your eye face, in your peripheral vision, and you can just fucking see them. They're just fucking there, and they won't stop. They won't leave. They won't go away. But it's my nose. It's just it's been there all day. I want to cut it off. I'd cut it off to spite my face, but it's not to spite my face. I cut it off so it's fucking gone, so I can't see it anymore, so I don't have to fucking look at it all goddamn day. Not that I'm not. Let's be silly. I'm not too upset about it or anything. It is what it is. A nose. Imagine having a nose. Imagine that. Having like a nose and shit. That would be funny, wouldn't it? That's what I've been dealing with today. With my fucking nose. My goddamn cannot get away from it nose. And right now, literally right now, as I'm talking, colouring in, not really drawing, but whatever, doing whatever the heck it is I'm doing right now, all the while I'm looking at this and I'm seeing my nose. If I can like use my hand to, it's like if you're trying to draw like this, there's just a fucking nose in front of everything you're doing. You have to tilt your face so it's out of the way a bit. It's just a fucking nose. That's what my belly button sees when it looks down. Just my massive donger. Big penis. This is a cat. This is a cat. I'm trying to draw a specific cat. Oh, it's got like, it's about there. This pen is fucking had it, isn't it? I can't do anything good with this shit. Bit of orange. Just a bit more orange, just for the fucking fuck of it. Whatevs. Oh, hi, gang. Oh, I didn't see you there. Where did you come from? How did you get in here? How are you in here? Why are you in my house? Can I offer you a drink? Have a seat on a couple of chairs. Not on the armchair. That's my special chair. That's where I sit and ruminate on the meaning of life. You thought I was going to say masturbate, didn't you? You thought. I mean, I do masturbate in that chair, but it doesn't warrant me saying so, does it? It's a given. It goes without saying. If there's a spot in this place that I live, chances are I've certainly masturbated in and or around, or on top of, or inside of, or into, or throughout of those places. Sometimes all in one day. Fucking shut up. Hi gang, hey, welcome to the Ewan Wins podcast. Hey, scabadoo, wada-ta-ta, zim-zam-zoo. So my podcast has had a few iterations. Look at all these grey marker pens from Biggie Z. Isn't he nice? I said last year or whenever it was, he just handed me a fucking bag full of goddamn marker pens and shit. And so now I'll fucking use them then. Fine then, Mr. Z. I'll fucking use them, I guess. I'm gonna get quite a dark one. I think I had a darker one. That one's basically running out. But is this like a burgundy? Oh, that's pretty, isn't it? Jesus, that might become my new favourite pen until it runs out and I get sad about it. I thought I had a slightly darker. I thought I had a what accent am I doing? South African. I thought I had a slightly darker grey than it, but I cannot find it for the life of me. Where is my darker grey marker pen? I don't know. I wish it. I can't think of a rhyme. Certainly not a South African rhyme. That's weird. Hi gang, welcome to the Ewan Wins podcast. My podcast has gone out through a several iterations. Do these have different names? God, ADD today. I don't have ADD. Shut up. People used to say, "Oh, Ewan, you should get tested for dyslexia." How fucking dare you insinuate that I have dyslexia? I am perfectly well worded. I speak good, and I know words I can write and spell. Don't you And then a friend of mine did a dyslexia test, and she was like hyper dyslexic, like super dyslexic, like abominably dyslexic, incontinently dyslexic, immeasurably, inordinately dyslexic. And so this was at university, and she got like a shitload of stuff, like a free MacBook to help her learn, and like a bunch of other assistants and stuff. And I thought, if I'm so smart, maybe I should take the dyslexia test, but use my smartness, or I guess intelligence, if you're using that word, to purposely appear dyslexic, just so I get all like the benefits and shit. Cheat the system. The system spends long enough cheating me. It's about time I got mine, and got my own back against the system that cheats me out of not having a new Mac. But then if I did have a MacBook, I'd probably sell it and get just like a Windows laptop or whatever, because Apple products are just absolute dog shit. So the podcast's gone through several iterations over the years. Do you remember when it was the Ewan Untitled podcast, but it was Ewan Cunt Titled? I'm funny, okay? I am funny. Shut up. As well as others. So now, at least for a little while, it's the Ewan Wins podcast, because, as I have said, I believe last year was a big vagina of a year, meaning a horrible, fetid, disgusting thing that I want no part of. Like vaginas, get it? But this year, I am determined to make better. I'm determined to have a better year this year. And so we're being positive. It's positive time. And I've done that over the last couple of years as well. You know, I can sometimes get a little bit down, a bit disheartened about things and speak ill of myself and say, oh, maybe I should just kill myself. But then sometimes you might hear, I catch myself and I'm like, no, none of that. Stop talking like that. We're being positive now. We're positive ewan, positive attitudes. So that's what we're doing. And now we're doing that, but more so, yeah. We're positive podcast people, and we podcast positively because just because and it's so all of that is to say, well, no, not all of that, some of that, all of that is partly to say welcome to the Ewan Wins podcast. We've also had the Ewan Sucks podcast. That was one of the original, I think maybe the original podcast was the Ewan Sucks podcast, which is all fine and dandy. It's fun and games. There's no harm in it. It's just a bit of banter, isn't it? Just a little light ribbing of myself. A little like rimming of myself. Some like rim jobbing of myself. That's all fair game. And it's me. I'm not saying, you know, other people say. It's me. I can say I suck. Sometimes I do, or I would if... But for now, and I just... It's not an ego thing. Of course, I call it the Ewan Wins podcast. My first thought is, oh, but what if people think I'm like trying to say, oh, I'm better than them? Well, that's because I am. I'm not trying to say that, but I just am better than everyone else. So, suck it, bitches. You bunch of cock motherfuckers. Whatever that means. No, the point is... we're positiving. We're being positive. But which is to say, because it's been going well so far. As of recording this, we're a week into the new year. I've been home from Sam's house in Wales for just under a week. In a couple of days, it'll be a week. So 5 days. In 5 days, I've done so much shit already in those 5 days. Like, I've been working basically non-stop since I got back from Sam's. Not even like the day after. So I got back from Sam's on the Thursday, and then that day I recorded the podcast for the Friday, so that was out the next day. Then that Friday, I did 2 commissions in one day, which isn't loads, but like these days, these last few months, especially the last 6 months, to get a commission done in one single day was a lot of work for me. So to get 2 done in one day is a lot. And then the next couple of days after that, not including today because today's podcast day, so I've done 2 comic book pages each day. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I did 2 comic book pages each of those days. 6 comic book pages done in 3 days. I mean, that's a lot of work, and I did that. I did that with my positive, can-do attitude. And I would be doing more comic book pages today, but today's podcast day, so we're just hanging out and talking and shit. And I've got some others. You'll see. But again, all of that is to say, it's working. We're in it. I don't know how long this rush will last because this is I'm getting a lot done. Did those comic book pages, also some other drawing some rats and stuff, a couple of other little bits and pieces. Worked on some other things. Made a shirt on that podcast I did coming back from Sam's on that day. I've been getting shit done. Like, a lot of shit has been getting done. Quite remarkably, really. I'm amazed at myself, my ability to do shit, to get shit done. So, hooray for me. Hooray, bloody me, for all of bloody me. But I am proud of myself because, as stated, in the last 6 months especially, finding like the energy to get anything done, any kind of work or anything, has been so difficult. So the fact that this past week I've just been going and going and going and drinking more water as well. I keep telling myself drink more water because I just don't drink enough water, and I get headaches and I feel fatigued, and I think like, oh, okay, so what have I, why would this be happening? I've eaten chicken with noodles, cheap chicken with cheap noodles, a couple of cereal bars, and drunk a can of Pepsi, and it's 8 o'clock in the evening, and that's all I've had today. And I think, okay, fucking sort it out. So at the very least, drink more water. And so that's what it's. This my current goal is drink one of these a day. So I refill it. Maybe it's not. I should get like an actual reusable bottle. But if I'm reusing this bottle, it's basically that, and then I just set it on fire afterwards, so it's not taking up landfill, so it's fine. Which it's not a lot; it's only one little bottle of water a day, but it's that much more water than I was drinking already. So it's good. It's a good thing. Drinking that much water a day, it's not huge, it's not a lot, but it's a good thing, and it's a thing I'm doing, and it's a thing I'm proud of doing. Every time I empty that bottle into my mouth, I get a little bit like, yes. Fucking let's go. That's a thing. I did a thing today. I did my water today. And maybe that's part of what's been missing in the last year is a lack of that, of like goal or direction. So when it comes to each day, I have commissions I need to do, but like I just do them, it's whatever. But having like my own personal little goals to achieve has been very, very good. So that's been good. Also, while I really wish I had a darker grey, because I don't want to be sat here doing nothing. The next step is to I don't get some paint out and paint in some paint, but I can't be fucking to do that right now. I can't find anything. So I think it was Friday. When I sat down doing those commissions, I got dressed for work. So I put on like shoes and a shirt, and I as if I was, dressed to go somewhere or whatever. And that's what I used to do, and will still do occasionally, or have done occasionally over the years. But I find it helps get me into like work mode to like get dressed for work, even if I'm not going anywhere. If I'm just staying in my home, it's good to give me that like work energy. So I Friday got dressed for work, had my windows open, my curtains open, my window open just a crack to get some air in. So it was light, there was air, had music on that I liked, and genuinely, and this is like a thing like I just want to share, a genuine sort of good thing I want to share. I caught vibes, like the feeling of how it felt in 2020 when I started doing this whole thing full time, and I had that sort of like new fun time buzz of just like sitting down and enjoying sitting down to draw and shit, which I don't know if I felt since then really, but I had that same vibe of like it's around the same sort of time as well, start of the new year, sitting down, window open, dressed to work, ready to go, getting commissions done. And it really felt like a good, positive vibe and feeling. And I was so genuinely happy for that. I felt great that day and for the next couple of days at least, which has also helped me get shit done. That's definitely one of the reasons I've been able to get shit done, is because somewhere I've managed to catch that feeling and that vibe, and it's sort of pushed me on to be like, fuck yeah, this is actually fun, this can be a good time. When there's not a barrage of shit things trying to destroy my good time. So yeah, I'm really I'm just wanted to share that with you, that amongst all the garbage and bullshit, there's good times as well. I'm able to, and hopefully, and that's the thing. Hopefully, that will feed into my work and just shit in general, and maybe become visible in my output. I don't know. And even if it's not, that's not it's not the end of the world if it doesn't become apparent that I'm doing better, like emotionally or whatever. But as long as I'm feeling it, that's the important part. Is the important part, where my mental health and such is concerned. And if it does happen, if those vibes do happen to sort of bleed into my work or whatever, then that's all the better for it. Speaking of sludge life, I got back from the photo printers today. I didn't get back, I went to them, and then a few minutes later I had photos printed from Sludge. I got new holiday. These are literally my holiday photos. I don't really take real holiday. I took some holiday. There's pictures of me by some castles and shit. That was fun. But these are basically my holiday photos, and I'm going to put them into my Sludge Life Ghost brand photo album. And that's another thing. I know I mentioned this before. But yeah, the photo albums, they'd be covered in tags and stickers and shit, so it fits, doesn't it, with the vibe, the thing. But I got new pictures. Some of them are just new things. Some of them are sort of photos I got specifically to fill in gaps and shit within my album. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put them in there. Now, what I have done is made space. So I went through. I was going to do this on camera. I was going to record the whole thing of like figuring out which photos were going to go where, then pulling the other ones out and putting them back in other places. But that took about an hour and a half. Well, maybe not an hour and a half, maybe an hour or so. But I figured that's not fun. Not necessarily that me putting photos into it is going to be fun. But it's at least going to be a bit more lightweight in terms of like viewing and an activity and whatnot. So that's cool. Is it? I don't know. It's something. But it's this. This is my Sludge Life memorabilia piece. It's almost an art book, but it's not quite. It's kind of merch, but it's not quite. It's its own special, unique thing. And this is a one-of-a-kind, unique thing with photos that I took within the game of Sludge Life, which you can do because it has a camera that you can take photos with. And then Sam finds the photo files. I don't know if they create themselves on his desktop or whatever, or he goes into the game to find. I don't know, but he's able to send me all the photos in a zip folder. I take them, I get some of them printed off, not all of them, but just a bunch, and I put them in here, and it makes for a really cool like graffiti writers photo album of graffiti and cats with their anuses hanging out, not hanging out, but dicks and things. And I like it. I really, really do like it. I like it very, very much. One thing I did want to have within this was more just straight up graffiti. Sludge Life isn't just about graffiti. There's a lot going on, but so I want some of the other stuff going on. But I want to at least have a large chunk of this photo album be as if it were photos of graffiti taken by. Oh, excuse me, that sounded like Big Mud. By Ghost, and put in his photo album. So some of the pictures I got printed off are just pictures of his graffiti pieces having been painted around the place. It's, in one way, it's almost a little bit annoying that the Ghost graffiti is just one, like almost like a copy and pasted text thing again and again. But at the same time, a lot of graffiti is that. Like if you're a graffiti writer, you know, this would be considered a throw up or a dub. See, I know all the lingo. Although a dub is typically done in chrome and black, but whatever. And you'd have like a throw up that you'd basically copy and paste onto walls. You paint them as quick as possible, big bold letters, sometimes readable, sometimes not. To put your name up as much as possible, and that's what this is. So the fact that it looks the same in every picture isn't an issue, but it's just a little part of me wants just the smallest bit of variety, but not not in the way that I'm annoyed by it. Really, it's sort of whatever. It's all good. It's all good. Shut up. It's all good. So now we put them in the thing. So that's one up on a billboard, and that's the same one on a billboard, but a closer shot of it. And that's something I used to do a lot when I painted graffiti. Was if it was out on the streets, you want a clear photo of the piece itself as like a record of you having done it. But then I also wanted to get a shot from a distance so you could really see it in situ, to see where in the street it was. Because if you just have hundreds of pictures of walls like this, like that's cool. If you can see the graffiti, but seeing where the graffiti is, maybe photos of people walking past it, or if it's above people on like a rooftop or something, people walking underneath it or whatever. So that's something I used to do when I painted graffiti a lot. So that's something I like to have now with these ghost graffiti photos, and more and more and more on buildings and shipping containers, all kinds of shit. So I got some ghost. I like this one as well because this is like where you start in. I guess you live in a shipping container, and you start in your own little one, and it's got all like your little graffiti sketches, and like I like that there's some here. Like he could obviously take the little ghost character and just copy paste the outline onto a bit of paper, but he's got actual sketches of like unused little scribbles and stuff, and I really like that little detail, and like spray cans and drinks cans and stuff around. Ghost graffiti all over the place. I like that a lot. And we got some more of those also from various places. Yeah. God. It was quite funny because I printed. It was, I guess, almost an exact year ago when I first put all of this together, and I printed off a shitload of photos. I think it was like 60 or 80 or something. So I got them printed off, and the guy handed me the envelope with all the photos, and he said, "Hey, this is really good. Is this your artwork in these pictures?" And I could have said yes. I could have stolen the credit, but I said no. The answer I did give though was I said, "Oh no, it's a friend of mine," which isn't true. I have messaged Terry Velman, and he's messaged back. I can say in a very loose way, I've spoken to Terry Velman, the guy who created Sludge Life, I think, along with Dose One, obviously the rapper and musician. But I wouldn't consider him a friend necessarily. I'm sure he wouldn't consider me even an acquaintance, let alone a friend. But I figured it was easier to say a friend made all the artwork rather than say, no, it's from a video game and I took pictures and is this your artwork? No, it's a friend's. That's fine. I could have said, yes, it's mine, and it wouldn't matter. It literally wouldn't matter. He wouldn't know. It would never come up anywhere. I probably wouldn't mention that fact. Or maybe I would. I'd say, haha, I said it was mine even though it wasn't, because I'm a big lying liar. But it's fucking whatever, isn't it? It doesn't really matter. But that's not hilarious. But the funny thing was, when I got these photos, the new photos printed off today, and I went to the place, got them printed. Jesus Christ. It was a different person there. It was like a Polish woman, I think. And she asked the exact same question. She handed me the envelope of photos and said, is this your work? These are really, really good. And I said, oh no, it's a friend of mine. Even though it was not technically, they're just from a video game. Whatever. I also wanted to have more pictures of the little ghost characters. I like these two. I like the ones that because it's cool to have the character painted around. And I like that he paints, like if this is a wider area, then paint two together in a wider area. If it's a taller area, one on top of the other one, that's quite cool. But I like these ones because this is like a big gas containment chamber or something, venting into the atmosphere. That's this colour already, which is like his signature colour of graffiti. So you just paint the eyes and mouth onto it and it becomes your character. That's really cool. I love stuff like that takes the environment and crafts it into your own little graffiti thing. And that's basically the same thing on that water tower as well. That's very, very cool. I'm not obsessed with Sludge Life, by the way. I'm not. I just really like it, and I've said it because I know last week I did the t-shirt and the whole thing, but that's just because it's cool to have a t-shirt. But I just think it's cool. I like it. It speaks to me on some sludgy level in my body, in my sludgy body, and I really like it. If I was obsessed, I might do something like make a Siggy Sigs cigarette box, like a little prop thing that exists in the game. There's a small picture of one there, but I'm not obsessed, so I'm not going to do something like that. But if I was obsessed with Sludge Life, then that might be the sort of thing I do, is to make a little funny prop Siggy Sigs cigarette box, and put like the logo and everything on it. But I'm not obsessed because that's not something I do. I want to make some cigarettes for this as well. I think I could probably get like maybe 8 in there, 4 by 4. I could make them out of I could roll up paper really tight and then glue it, colour it in and stuff. But I want to get I don't know, some kind of rods, some foam rods. Do they exist? Or maybe some dowel, some thin, lightweight wooden rods, and just cut them to the right length and paint them up and stuff. Because that would be kind of cool. I also want to make a crumpled version, because technically, I could crumple this, but it wouldn't be the same, because I want it to have the same sort of zigzag that a crumpled box has in the game. But I'm really happy with that, and I love that about being an artist, which you don't have to be an artist to make shit like this. I was making shit like this when I was a kid. Maybe not cigarette boxes, but whatever. But the fact that I can just go, I'm going to make a cigarette box with the Siggy Sigs logo, which I guess matches my shirt now. And that can be a thing that I can just choose to do, and I'm really happy about that. I would be if I were going to do something like that, which I'm not, because, like I said, that's something an obsessed person would do, and I'm not an obsessed person. I don't do those kinds of things because I'm not that kind of person. I just happen to like the video game. That's creative, it's artistic, it has themes that I relate to and enjoy partaking in, and so I do. This is how I involve myself in my hobby. I used to like Warhammer, and I still do like it, but not like that much. And if I did Warhammer, then I'd be collecting the shit and making things and painting them and fucking having a war. But I don't. But what I do like is, for instance, things like Sludge Life. But then outside of playing the game, what can I do? I can make art of it, sure, but I can also make use of the fact that you're able to take photos in the game and then apply that to fucking a bunch of shit. Whatever. Shut up. Do what I want. Cigarettes. I took photos of cigarettes because I really like the cigarettes, and I've wanted for a while to draw or paint just not cool, but a picture of an ashtray with cigarette butts in it. And so I thought it was quite cool that Sludge Life has a bunch of those. Scroll through all my photos to find them. Of ashtrays dotted around everywhere because everyone smokes. Remember when I read that review and I went on and on about it, about how the guy clearly didn't understand the point of the cigarettes in Sludge Life, and they have a smoking competition. This is one guy. There's two guys having a smoke off. I guess seeing who can smoke the most Siggy Sigs in a time limit or something. I call them Siggy Sigs because that's the brand, and I'm loyal to that. And so this is a picnic table, and it's just littered with empty cigarette packs and all these ashtrays and stuff. So I just like the visual. There's something about it, and it's kind of dirty and smelly, but there's something visually pleasing about this to me. I like it. I like what it implies. I like the texture of it, the life that it shows. And what in fart am I doing? This one here. And also with this whole photo album, I'm trying to have not a narrative, but I try to keep it like having it make sense. So you start off literally where you start off in the game in your little home container, and then it's Ghost's little sketches, and then his graffiti, more of his graffiti, more of his graffiti and his characters. There's a little slug that someone else painted, and then more of the characters and more of the characters. This one's on a nuclear bomb that you can actually detonate, and that gives you the bad ending, I guess. That's on a concrete statue of a bomb, which that's outside the police station. So they've got a statue of the bomb because they're like praising the, you know, the arms race and the prowess of weaponry that the people in charge hold or whatever. It's all this shit going. And then that's on like a statue of a bomb. This is on the head of a statue that fell off, that crushed the cigarette mascot. And there he is, dead with his eyes popped out, poor bugger. And that's the cigarette company. And then it goes into this. So, like I say, it's not strictly a narrative, but it sort of one page kind of leads into the next, and that's intentional. Me doing that is an intentional choice with this photo album, rather than just have a bunch of photos. I want it to be like an art book almost, where it sort of it makes sense for where the shit is and needs to be and goes and fucking whatever. Cigarettes there. Let's put this guy here. So I went through the whole album and like took a bunch of photos out and replaced them, or like literally placed them in other places and rearranged a few things to try and keep that sort of somewhat narrative element. So I had planned for like how many photos would go in where, and then the cigarette company is advertising cigarettes to kids using Big Mud as a I don't know, a spokesperson or whatever. I believe in the story of the game, Glug, the company that owns the Siggy Cigs, took one of Big Mud's songs and or some of his songs and chopped them up to make a pro cigarette song, and then gave Big Mud a record deal and money, something like that. So again, it feeds into and now this will be the Big Mud page, which I think I didn't necessarily screw up with which photos I've got. There are still some photos I need to take, so it just means next time I go to Sam's, I'm going to have to take and print off more photos. There's some Big Mud posters in someone's room in the game, and the person whose room it is like an aspiring rapper, and they've got like a face tattoo and everything, and so they obviously idolise Big Mud, so they got his posters on the wall, so I quite like that. And that's where you first see Big Mud in his container, in his shipping container, making beats and shit, and that's him in Glug Studios later on, having gotten the record deal. I have a picture I could put here. I don't love it, but I might put it there just as a placeholder. I guess it'll do. I meant for this to be a picture of the cat with two anuses licking itself in the Blooniverse. I guess narratively, this one should go under this one because this is in the demo between the first and second game, and that's the first game and the second game. But fucking whatever. I don't love this photo. I might try to next time I play get a photo of Big Mud, like more of a close-up photo or something. But for now, that'll do for now, won't it? More pieces, some unique pieces, because a lot of the graffiti is either like the character or his name, but these are like specific to the place where they are. Because this is an ice cream stand that looks like a big turd, so it's like a fallen ice cream. This is in an apartment block that's been ravaged by very, very poisonous mold. So it's like a mushroom and mould pulling the face apart with a skeleton and everything. This is on a butcher shop where they chop up storks to eat them. So it's a stork being beheaded. And that's by a dog, a little collab with the dog who painted a bone, I guess. So you paint a little dog. Toilets. I got a photo specifically. I didn't take the photo specifically for this reason, but I printed it specifically to fit in here, along with all the other toilet pictures of a little dog drinking out of the toilet. So, yeah, unique pieces of graffiti, another unique piece of graffiti, is a poop in the toilet, and that feeds into the toilet photos. Big turds, sad turds. I can't remember if anything was going to go here. Shit, was something going to go there? I might leave those blank. And again, in the future, get more toilet photos. Put those in. There's Mosca, the fly guy, and his collabs from Sludge Life 1 and 2. Because if you paint enough graffiti in the game, every sort of like level of amount of graffiti you paint, you get a chance to do a collab with one of the other writers. And the collab is this big billboard, and they have painted their piece. So then you go to it and you fill in your character underneath, or on top of, or within, or whatever it is, which is really, really cool. Which is kind of a thing that happens in real life. Like, if you get to a point of being known, other writers want to paint with you, and you might work on a piece like that where both of your pieces of art sort of like connect and shit, which is a really cool thing to have in the game, I feel. This is cool. This is double or double. Two sisters, each missing an eye on their face. They start off as a collaborative art project, painting these cat characters that they draw and paint, and they live together. You go to their apartment, you paint on their wall over one of their pieces. But what you find out is, within the first Sludge Life game, they have sort of sold out, because once you go to the CEO's like apartment suite, his the top apartment block. Fuck, I had the name in my head earlier. God damn it! You know, the upper apartment area where he lives. The suite. Fuck. Every episode, there's one thing I just cannot fucking remember the word for. Penthouse. His penthouse apartment suite. That's the one. He has artwork by these two sisters. Double. On his wall. So they've obviously painted a picture for him, for a CEO, which, you know, you don't really do if you're a real graffiti writer. And then in the second game, they split up. They're no longer collaborative. Now one of them works for a graphic design agency for Glug, the big fucking CEO company, while the other one tries to keep it real and stay true to the graffiti roots. And she calls herself Dolo, which is like double but solo, I guess. And so that's her in the second game, and you collab with her on her own. And that's where you've collabed with both of them, which is quite cool. So that's both of them together, just her on her own. And that's so I took these two photos and digitally sort of split them and put them together. So there's each sister missing the eye on one side of their face. And I think that's a really cool little, like, there's a lot of those things in the game as well, that like tiny stories that carry over. Sometimes they're part of bigger stories, sometimes they are their own little self-contained stories. Because you can look at Sludge Life as just a silly game where you run around and paint graffiti and you can fart and pee and there's poo everywhere, which it is. But there's also like, there's a lot of smaller story elements that all kind of feed into a bigger thing. So now we're on Uzi. I fucking love Uzi so much. That might be why I'm drawing him. I had a photo of Uzi, a better photo of Uzi, because I had another photo of Uzi. This is the one I had here before, but the angle like up his nose wasn't fantastic, so I got another photo of Uzi. And that's another thing I wanted in here, was like better photos of the other taggers to go along with their artwork. So I've got that. And also in the second game, after he's been arrested because he's sprayed up the police station with his name and loads of pictures of Uzis, which is his like icon, and that's a piece you paint outside that police station of an Uzi blasting the head off of one of the police officers, the Cyclops, the Clops as they are. So that's the little Uzi page. We've got, and so that sort of, this feeds into that, feeds into this, feeds into that, and then we've got the other taggers: Mosca, Double, Uzi, Buns, who appears in the demo between the two games. That's the only time you see him, but I really like his appearance and I like his graffiti. So this bunny head is already on the wall, and then you come in and paint this. I've already talked about all of that. Fucking it's whatever. Tia, I've got a picture of Tia. Let's go in here. There she is there. She's an old head. She's like an old OG writer in the area. And you have to like get a lot of respect in the game to be able to paint with her. And then you eventually get a collab. And then in Sludge Life 2, you have guns. And that is a whole thing. Hans, or Hans, is a guy who has really big hands. Like that's a thing. He's just a guy and he has really big hands. And I guess he took that and his iconography that he paints is these hands everywhere. He also paints his name, Hans or Hans. He has every character has their own little soundtrack as well, made by Dose One. All the taggers, and in Hans's, there's a voice saying Hans, so that's why I'm pronouncing it Hans as opposed to Hans. Although Hans would make sense because he paints hands, but it fits. So, but I like his whole theme that he's got with his name being Hans, and he paints hands, and you collab with hands. But one thing is, each character in the game, the taggers and other people, have a certain amount of dialogue options. You can sort of not options, but like. Sentences they say, so you talk to them once and they might say a line or two, and then you talk to them again and they might say another line or two, etc., etc. And each person might have like 3 to 5 of those sentences, and then they just stop talking to you until you maybe see them again. So with Hans, if you talk to him, he'll say some shit like, "Oh, you can take this glider that I'm don't need as an item that you can use," and then something else and something else. And one of the last things he says in the first game is he's working on painting a giant middle finger that you can see from the sky, which is quite just a cool thing to say. And he says, "I'll let you know when it's done," or whatever. And that's the last thing he has to say within that game. And I always thought, oh, that's just quite a funny thing. But only in this last time playing it at Sam's house did I realise, in the good ending of the game, where you go to the top of the CEO's penthouse suite. He's got a little private jet thing that you can get inside of and escape the island. So once you're inside of it, it sort of flies automatically around the whole island, so you see sort of every part of it. And then all the writers are like up on buildings and ledges and stuff, basically like saying goodbye to you, I guess. And then one of the last things you do, you fly by, is the basketball court, which you see quite close to the start of the game, and you fly sort of upside down, and on the floor of the basketball court there's a big middle finger that Hans is obviously painted, so he did the thing that he said he was going to do. I didn't notice that before, and I think it's really, really cool. And then you fly away, and that's the end. But the annoying thing is, I'm not sure if I'm able to get a clear picture of it, because you can't use your camera while you're in the jet, because it's the end of the game now, and you can't do anything. You sort of look around. So I can't really get a photo of that big middle finger, but I might be able to get like a screenshot of it, but I'm not sure because the jet window might be in the way. So I'm gonna try to get a decent picture of that middle finger, to have a photo to go here. Like I said, I'm not obsessed. I'm just talking about this thing for forever and ever and ever, just because I like it. There's Peep, little pigeon man. He's one of the taggers in the second game. He doesn't do or say much, but he's there. You can collab with him. You see his graffiti around, and he's a cute little guy. He's probably very young, based on like how he talks and stuff. There's also Ovni, who's an alien. Another cool detail about the game, among everything else, I just thought Ovni, OVNI, was just a weird like alien sounding word. I figured it's probably got some meaning, but whatever. But I looked it up. Turns out it's the French version of the term UFO. It means like object vision non-identifiable. So like unidentified object, basically, in French, which is fucking cool. And he's an alien who paints aliens. Like he's an actual alien guy. I got this photo as well, which I might not use in here. But he's an alien and he paints Ovni, and that's a neat little thing, because, you know, I don't know. There's some thought has gone into the character's name and what he does and stuff, and I appreciate that. There's Slug. You meet her in the second game. I think she was a fan of you. You don't see her in the first game, but through talking to her, you find out she was a fan of you from seeing your name everywhere in the first game. And all over the Sludge Life games, there are these banana slugs, which are just big fat yellow slugs that you can eat. Maybe they taste like bananas, I don't know. So she's obviously taken a liking to them. She's always surrounded by them. She'll be holding one at one point, and she's turned that into her like tagger identity. She paints slugs. She paints her name Slug, and I think that's really, really cool. There's King Eyes, sort of the guy, the big king guy, and other shit too. A bunch of drawings. Different places in the game have these different whiteboards with drawings and shit on them. Got another one here to add to the collection. Dick drawing classes. You find a flyer for that, and then you go to this room and you see dick drawing classes. And there's a guy drawing a dick. This guy's dick. I did crouch down and look up with the camera to get a shot right up his pee hole. And again, I keep meaning to get a picture of the two anus cat, like a good picture of the cat with two arseholes to go here, but still haven't done that because I'm a silly goose. Smoking cat's a smoking bird. Other birds. Strike. I have a photo to go there. Strike. They're on strike. Power to the people. And that's that for now. I have all these spaces still, and I do want to fill this up because I think it would be really cool to have like a fully. That's just so good. It's just so good. All right, Ewan, we fucking get it. You like Sludge Life. Are you going to go on about it forever and ever now? Is that it? Is that all you're going to do? Just fucking go on and on and on about bloody sludge, bloody life forever and ever? Yes! Maybe I will. Because if Sludge Life is what's giving me this renewed positive attitude and outlook towards things, then I'm going to fucking embrace that shit. I mean, it's entirely likely that spending almost 2 weeks with my best friend in a lovely place in Wales, having the opportunity to also play Sludge Life, maybe that is what has helped, squeeze some little positivity into my life. But I'm going to just say it's probably Sludge Life itself. Being able to play it again, because again, I don't have the necessary equipment or whatever facilities to play it at home. It's been great, and I've grown a much bigger and deeper love for it. I've seen things I didn't see before. I've gotten more of a sense of the story and everything. I sent a message, I think, on either Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. It might have been Christmas Eve. I sent a text to, a DM to Terry Velman to say, hey, because he followed me on Instagram. Isn't that nice? And I said thank you for the follow from a while back, and also just wanted to let you know I'm fucking obsessed with Sludge Life, and also Merry Christmas, Happy New Year and stuff. And he messaged back to say, hey, that's great, thanks very much, and blah blah blah. So that was nice. Like, there's this awesome game, and I have some kind of line of communication to the guy that made it, the guy that did the art and everything. Oh, that's fucking cool. So yeah, why wouldn't I be happy about that? Why wouldn't that do wonders for me? I should absolutely embrace that shit and be happy about it, because it's a thing that I'm happy about. So don't take that away from me. If I get a bit obsessed with it, even for a moment, fucking let me have that. Don't take it away from me. Jesus. Not that any of you are. I'm obviously just talking to myself. But I understand for some people maybe hearing about Sludge Life all the time might get a bit tiring. But just call it a phase and let me get through it, yeah? Because, last year, start of the year, after I just played Sludge Life for the first time, I was like, hey, Sludge Life, look at all these photos I got. But then eventually, or soon enough, I was on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. So, just sit with this for now, yeah? Just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride for what it is. Just let me have my little thing, my little sludgy thing. And then there'll be something else that you can get annoyed that I'm talking about. Again, not that anyone's expressed an annoyance that I'm talking about Sludge Life, but if there are those people, fuck them. Fuck them in the asshole. Trying to paint the fucking pollution, but it's a bit shitty, isn't it? Blend the colours, blend them. That's how you blend acrylic paints as a professional artist. I've been doing this 5 years now. I think I've sort of got a plan in my head of some kind of like video about everything I learned doing illustration full time for 5 years. 5 years! Can you believe that? So that's fun. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Ewan, we love you. You're the best ever. Please don't ever stop doing what you're doing. Which I appreciate. Thank you for saying that. But I know you're also saying, you mentioned previously, before you were going on and on and on and on and on about Sludge Life, you mentioned you had done 2 comic book pages a day for 3 days in a row, and it's very likely you'd be doing more in the coming days. But what comic book pages are those? What could it possibly be that you're working on so diligently for such an amount of time, getting so much done, being so productive? What comic are you working on? And then you're going to say, oh, no, wait, it couldn't be. It's not the next Gun Viking, surely. Well, fair listener, let me tell you. It absolutely is. See, I could have done a bluff there. I could have gone, it's not, it's something else entirely. It's the next Zach Ridley, which I would love to work on, but again, if I get the time. For now, yeah, I've been working on Gun Viking issue 6 because I'm fucking determined to get it done this month, this half of this month before my rent is due. So hopefully I can sell enough copies to pay my rent. We'll see how that goes. Which is one reason I want to get it done, but also because it might have been 2 full years or more since I put out issue 5. I don't even remember. It's been a long time since I put out Gun Viking, and I want to get more Gun Viking made, and I want to get more Gun Viking out there. And this last issue, I feel like there's been a bunch of times over the last year or so where I've been saying, I'm working on it now, and I'm working on it now, and I'm working on it now. Which has been the case, but I keep putting it down again because I keep being unhappy with the results and not being entirely sure if I like how it's coming out or whatever. But I think it was like the day after I got back from Sam's, or like on that day in the evening, I was just like, I need to just get it done. I have to literally sit down, draw a page and move on to the next one, and draw that page and move on to the next one. I can't be bothering with it so much. I have to just get it done, which is how I did the old Gun Viking comics, and they got done nice and easily, but then they had less like story to them. They were just some cool paintings, I guess. But now with this new Gun Viking, there actually is more of a story that I'm trying to focus on, which is sort of making it harder to just do it. But I'm doing it, and I'm also doing it. I've got the first 7 pages done, because I had the very first page of issue 6 done long ago that I'm just happy with. That's literally just a drawing of a microscope, just to set the scene. Because you'll open the comic and there'll be a picture of a microscope on a table, and there'll be a caption saying, somewhere else entirely. Because, if you remember from issue 5, at the end of that, he goes into a portal in a tree. What happens next? Well, then you open issue 6 and it says, somewhere else entirely. Evidently some scientific laboratory or something. Which is where Gun Viking issue 6 takes place. And I've been doing... So I had a few pages done, kind of this latest issue that I was more or less happy with, but what I've decided is to start from scratch and just redo it all apart from that first page. And so far I'm really happy with how it's been going. There are drawn parts, there are painted parts. I like how it's coming together. I'm looking forward to working on more of it, and I think I will be happy with the outcome ultimately, and that's the big thing, is ultimately I'm going to look at this issue of Gun Viking and go, yes, that's a good issue of Gun Viking, and hopefully other people will enjoy it too. And I'm also excited to then move on to later issues, because there's going to be 8 issues in total, and that will basically be all of Gun Viking. I might still do other little bits of Gun Viking here and there, but in terms of the main story of Gun Viking, it will be those 8 issues, and that will be like the saga, the Gun Viking saga, if you like. And I'm looking forward to doing that, because I've got the ending planned. I just need to do it. So there'll be issue 7, issue 8. There's no promises, but I want to try. Hopefully I'll have the time to do so. I want to try to have issue 6 done this month, issue 7 done in February, and issue 8 done in March. And then sometime later in the year, put out all of those 4 issues as a graphic novel. And then maybe next year, all of Gun Viking together in one big book. That's my ideal, plan for how I want Gun Viking to go, in terms of the books and such. Whether or not that'll happen remains to be seen, but it's good to have a plan, isn't it? And with this new positive attitude I've got, and this work ethic, this renewed vibrance for my work, I might just be able to get it done. It's certainly not an impossibility. So we will see. But it does depend, sadly, on how much time I have to spend working on commissions and making money and whatever else. Because a lot or most of issue 6 of Gun Viking that I'm currently doing is black and white ink work. There's not a lot of colour to it. So the pages I can do, that's why I've been able to do 2 pages a day, because apart from a few painted elements, it's basically all black and white line work. Because it takes place somewhere completely in a separate dimension from where most of the other Gun Viking parts take place. So it makes sense that it's very, very different. But then the next 2 issues, 7 and 8, will be back to fully painted artwork, like the previous issues, which I almost certainly won't be able to do 2 pages a day. Even if I can do 1 page a day, I might be able to get it done within a month, and maybe sell enough to pay my rent the month that I make it. But it's a very, not risky, but a bit of an iffy thing. It could work, it could not work. I don't know. But I'm hoping. Like I say, I'm ultimately I am hopeful for all of this. I feel like I've got it in me to get it all done. I just need to fucking get it done. And like I say, I'm happy with how it's coming along. I think people will enjoy it. Hopefully people will enjoy the slight change from issue 5 to issue 6, being it's set in a different place, in a different sort of format and everything. But then hopefully people will also then enjoy getting back to some kind of normality with the next issue. So I am hoping people will... He's going to travel back in time! Oh my god! Hopefully people will enjoy that aspect of it also. I'm looking forward to Gun Viking. I hope everyone else is looking forward to Gun Viking. In case anyone is still asking, which I do get the question quite often, am I going to reprint the Gun Viking graphic novel? My answer to that is no, essentially. For one thing, I'm working on new Gun Vikings comics, Gun Viking comics, before I reprint old ones. And even then, like I say, my plan is to get the new comics all printed up individually and then collect them in a book. So there's 2 volumes. And then it will all be printed together in one big book later on. So in that respect, I will be reprinting the old Gun Vikings, but not on their own and not for quite some time. So for now, just tough shit. They are available as PDFs on my Patreon, which is only $1 a month to sign up. I'm not a huge fan of reading digital comics, and I understand a lot of other people aren't either. So I completely get it if people aren't really terribly enthused by that. I probably wouldn't be either. But it is there. If all you want is to read them, to just know the story or whatever, or just look at the artwork, there are PDFs available on my Patreon page. You might have to scroll down a bit. Although, it is worth me taking some time to make another post about that, so there's a fresh place to get them. Especially because, I can't believe I haven't brought this up yet, it's been 10 years since I first printed a Gun Viking comic. I think technically Gun Viking is older than 10 years, because I probably started developing him in like 2013, 2014. But the first comic, I believe, I got printed and put out there in 2015. So in essence, I'm happy to call this year the 10-year anniversary of Gun Viking, which is kind of cool. It's almost silly because, like, in 10 years I've put out 5 issues, maybe 6 if I get this one out soon. Not that it's silly, but it's quite funny that it's like, usually the 10-year anniversary, there's like fucking, I don't know, hundreds of issues of the thing. But I've done what I can in the time. I've done what I can. But I think it's cool that it's for a 10-year anniversary. That's a thing. That's something. You know, who else can say they've had a comic character they're still working on 10 years later? You know? Well, probably a lot of people. It's not that outrageous a thing, but even so, I think it's quite a cool milestone. And I have been looking forward to it for a little bit, actually. Like, for the last couple of years, I have thought to myself, oh, in 2025, it'll be like 10 years since I first put out a Gun Viking comic. Like, damn, I'll have to do something about it. And I am... I don't necessarily have anything planned for something to do for the 10-year anniversary of Gun Viking, but I have an idea that I would like to do something for it. So at the very least, I'll put a new thing on Patreon of the PDFs that you can look at, download or whatever. It would be quite cool to do like a short comic, like a mini one-shot, like 8-page little mini comic of Gun Viking to celebrate the 10-year anniversary. I might do that. I should note that down. Do I have any unused post-it notes currently? I'm not sure I do. Let me write it on here, and then I'll write it down somewhere else a little better later on. I'm going to find a good fucking pen, Jesus Christ. 8-page mini Gun Viking comic, parentheses, 10-year anniversary edition. The edition probably isn't necessary, but that'd be neat, wouldn't it? A little thing. And I mean, if I can get the next few issues out in the next few months, even if it takes 4 or 5 months, if maybe by June I can do a 10-year anniversary special, then that would be quite cool, because it's like halfway through the year, it's the 10-year thing, and there's some sense to that, isn't there? That's not a silly idea. There's something there. There is something there. I need this. But it's Uzi is sharing a cigarette with a cat. That's cute, isn't it? He's sharing a ciggy cig with a cat. Because sometimes cats smoke in Sludge Life, and that's another reason I like it. It's one of the many, many reasons. in case I haven't fucking gone on about it enough yet.